Control your screaming child, or I'll have security remove you both from this aircraft right now. The sharp crack of palm against skin broke through the hum of the first-class cabin. Flight attendant Sandra Mitchell's hand had just connected with Kesha Thompson's cheek. Kesha, holding her 6-month-old daughter Zoe close, felt the baby's tiny body stiffen before her cries doubled in volume. A ripple of surprise swept the cabin, followed quickly by the glow of phones being raised to record. Most assumed they were witnessing a deserved act of discipline against a troublesome passenger. Finally, someone with backbone, an elderly woman in pearls, murmured with approval. Kesha's cheek throbbed, but her gaze stayed level. She adjusted Zoe's blanket, careful not to jostle her further, the gold-coated boarding pass in her lap plainly showing Mrs. K. Thompson. Mitchell hadn't even glanced at it. The cabin quieted again, broken only by Zoe's soft sobs and the subtle clicks of recording devices. Have you ever been branded a bad parent in front of strangers before anyone asked if you needed help? Mitchell, standing tall in her pressed navy uniform, silver wings gleaming under the overhead lights, seemed to draw energy from a confrontation. She turned to address the onlookers. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption. Some people simply don't understand proper travel etiquette. A few approving nods followed. The man in a tailored suit 2 rows back gave Kesha a dismissive glance. Thank God someone's maintaining standards, he muttered. These people think the rules don't apply to them. Kesha stayed silent, swaying slightly as she tried to soothe Zoe. The baby's tiny fingers curled around her mother's hand, a gesture that should have softened hearts, but instead only seemed to irritate the onlookers further. Mitchell keyed her radio with performative precision. Captain Williams, we've got a code yellow in first class. Disruptive passenger with infant, refusing crew instructions. The captain's voice crackled through. Copy that, Sandra. Your call. How do you want to proceed? I recommend immediate removal before departure. She's already delayed us 8 minutes with this tantrum. Kesha glanced at her phone. 14 minutes until departure. A new notification appeared. Corporate legal merger announcement scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All systems ready. She quickly slid the device back into her bag before Mitchell could read it. Excuse me, Kesha began quietly. My ticket is for seat 2A. I paid for first-class service, and I'd appreciate. Mitchell cut her off with a loud, mocking laugh. Honey, I don't care what scam you pulled to get that seat. People like you always try to upgrade illegally. I've seen every trick in the book. Across the aisle, a young woman was live streaming to TikTok. Yo, this is insane. The flight attendant just slapped a mom with a baby. I can't. The view count skyrocketed. 847. 1,233. 456. But the comments skewed harsh. Finally, someone disciplining bad parents. Why can't people control their kids on flights? That mom looks entitled AF. Flight attendant's a hero. Mitchell spotted the filming and turned up her performance. If you can't control your child, I have every right to request your removal. Airline policy is clear on disruptive passengers. Kesha opened her carry-on to get baby formula. As she shifted bottles aside, a flash of platinum glinted, a high-level airline executive card tucked between diapers. She covered it quickly, but a few sharp-eyed passengers noticed it wasn't a standard loyalty card. Her phone buzzed again. Caller ID in plain sight. Skylink Airways executive office. She declined it without a word. Mitchell's lip curled. Who are you calling? Your baby's father isn't going to save you from federal aviation rules. The businessman snorted. Miss, you're holding up 180 passengers. Some of us have important meetings. The captain's voice came over the intercom. Flight crew, prepare for final boarding completion. Kesha checked her watch. Black, understated, but engraved on the back. To my brilliant wife, MT. Mitchell took a final step toward her, clearly preparing for a dramatic finish. Last chance. Gather your things and deplane voluntarily, or the Federal Air Marshals will do it for you. The TikTok stream crossed 8,000 viewers. Amid the flood of judgmental remarks, a few dissenting voices appeared. Something's off here. Why is she so calm? That mom's way too composed for this to be what it looks like. The flight attendant is way too aggressive. A man by the window opened his laptop and began typing furiously into an aviation industry forum, witnessing discrimination in real time. Skylink Flight 847. Within minutes, insiders were following the thread. Mitchell's radio crackled again. Captain, passengers non-compliant. Requesting ground security. Copy, came the reply. Ground crew is standing by. Kesha finally spoke again, her voice even, steady. I understand you believe you're following protocol, but I strongly suggest you verify my passenger status before making an irreversible mistake. Irreversible. Mitchell laughed in disbelief. The only thing irreversible here is your behavior. You think an expensive outfit and a stolen first-class ticket mean you can disrupt an entire flight. The elderly woman leaned forward with a disapproving glare. In my day, young lady, parents traveled properly. This is disgraceful. More phones came out. Facebook live feed started. Instagram stories stacked up. The #flight drama began to trend locally. Through it all, Kesha didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She didn't demand. Her unnerving calm was starting to feel less like submission and more like someone who knew exactly what was coming next. Kesha knew something no one else in the cabin did. Baby Zoe had finally gone quiet, soothed by her mother's steady heartbeat. Her wide, curious eyes wandered over the unfamiliar space, innocent and unafraid. It should have been disarming, but the sight seemed only to agitate the first-class crowd further. 10 minutes, Mitchell announced crisply. Security will be here in 10 minutes, and this will be resolved one way or another. Kesha kissed Zoe's forehead, murmuring something too soft for the recording phones to catch. Her gaze held a quiet certainty that made a few sharp-minded onlookers uneasy. Captain Derek Williams stepped into the cabin, his gold-striped epaulets gleaming under the lights. 22 years of commercial aviation had honed his ability to project authority in tense situations. What's the situation? Sandra. His voice carried the measured command of someone used to Federal Aviation Command procedures. Mitchell straightened, her energy renewed by her captain's presence. So, the passenger's been disruptive since boarding. Crying infant, refusal to follow instructions, argumentative about deplaning. William's eyes scanned Kesha quickly. Young black mother, high-end diaper bag, first-class seat. His mind fell easily into the story Mitchell was telling. He said, I'm Captain Williams. FAA regulations require passengers to comply with crew instructions at all times. The TikTok live stream shot past 15,000 viewers. The young woman filming whispered breathlessly to her audience. The captain's here. This is getting serious. Comments poured in. She's getting arrested. Captain looks mad. Bye, Felicia. Hope they ban her from flying. Kesha adjusted Zoe in her arms and glanced at her phone. 8 minutes until departure. 8 minutes until what? Williams asked sharply. His patience was thinning. Whatever schedule you think you're keeping doesn't override aviation safety protocols, he said. From the galley, 2 men emerged, plainclothes, but unmistakable to anyone who knew the signs. Federal Air Marshals. Rodriguez, the taller of the two, approached cautiously, his hand hovering near his concealed sidearm. Captain, what's a disturbance? Passenger non-compliance, Williams replied, refusing to deplane after crew determination of disruptive behavior. In the back row, the business class blogger stopped typing long enough to snap photos. His aviation industry forum post, witnessing discrimination in real time, Skylink Flight 847, was already gathering hundreds of comments and shares. Mitchell could practically taste victory. She reached for the cabin intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay caused by an uncooperative passenger. We expect resolution momentarily. The announcement unleashed a wave of irritation from the cabin. Just throw her off already. I've got a connection to make. This is ridiculous. The TikTok viewership climbed to 25,000. Local Nashville news alerts lit up phones. Viral incident unfolding on Skylink Airways flight. Kesha sat unmoving. Zoe was calm now, her tiny hands exploring the air. The mother's composure was starting to feel calculated. Air Marshal Johnson flanked her other side. We need you to gather your things and come with us voluntarily. I need exactly 5 more minutes to resolve this, Kesha said softly. William scoffed. You need 0 minutes. This is a federal aircraft under my command, and you're creating a hazard. The woman in pearls chimed in for the cameras. Captain, I've been flying for 60 years. This entitled behavior is exactly what's wrong with air travel today. Agreement rippled through the passengers. The story was set in their minds. Disruptive mother versus professional crew. But the blogger noticed something that didn't fit. No signs of distress, no anger, no panic. Too controlled. Kesha's phone buzzed again. Skylink corporate emergency line. She declined it without a word. Mitchell's eyes narrowed. Who keeps calling you? Whoever it is can't override federal law. Chuckles rose from the surrounding seats. The suited businessman adjusted his phone to capture Mitchell's stance in full. 6 minutes until departure, Williams said, glancing at his watch. Ground security is on their way. Outside the windows, flashing lights lit the tarmac. Security vehicles surrounded the plane. This was no longer routine removal. The TikTok stream hit 32,000 viewers. Multiple camera angles were now spreading across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Ground security entered through the forward galley, equipment clinking, restraints, radios, cameras. The lead officer's voice was firm. By order of the flight captain and federal air marshals, you're being removed from this aircraft. Please comply voluntarily. Kesha slowly scanned the cabin. Recording phones, hostile stays, armed authority closing in. Zoe gurgled and reached for a glinting badge. For minutes, Kesha said quietly. You have 0 minutes, Williams barked. Officers, escort this passenger and a child off the aircraft immediately. Security stepped in. Passengers leaned forward, phones ready to capture the moment. The TikTok counter surged to 38,000. But those watching closely saw something in Kesha's eyes. No fear, no pleading. She was waiting. Rodriguez hesitated. If you've got legitimate documentation, now's the time to. We don't negotiate with disruptive passengers, Williams snapped. Remove her. Mitchell stepped in, glowing with satisfaction. This is why we have protocols. Some people think they can play the system with fake emergencies and social media theatrics. The applause from the cabin was immediate. Online comments hailed the crew's professionalism. Kesha kissed Zoe's forehead again, whispered something, then reached for her phone with deliberate care. 3 minutes, she murmured. Time's up, Williams said. Officers, proceed. As they moved to restrain her, Kesha tapped one contact and switched to speaker. The line connected instantly. Hi, honey, she said, her voice calm and clear. I'm having a little trouble on your airline, Kesha said into the phone. The voice that answered made Captain Williams' blood run cold. Which aircraft? Sweetheart? I'll handle this personally. Williams knew that voice instantly. Every Skylink Airways captain did. It belonged to the man who signed their paychecks. Flight 847. First class, Kesha replied, her tone almost conversational. The crew is being creative with customer service. The phone speaker hissed with controlled fury. I'm Marcus Thompson, CEO of Skylink Airways. Everyone on that aircraft will step away from my wife. Now. Silence swept through the cabin. Only baby Zoe's soft cooing and the low hum of the engines remained. Mitchell's face drained of color, the truth crashing over her like a wave. Williams actually stepped back, his authority collapsing in front of everyone. The TikTok stream spiked past 45,000 viewers. Comments detonated. Plot twist. She's the CEO's wife. They are so fired. Security officers froze and retreated as if Kesha had suddenly become radioactive. Marcus's voice cut through the air like a blade. Captain Williams, Miss Mitchell, I will be reviewing this incident personally. And I do mean personally. Kesha rocked Zoe gently, unshaken, while 180 passengers and crew stared as if seeing her for the first time. 2 minutes until departure. Honey, she told the phone sweetly. Cancel departure, Marcus ordered. We have bigger problems. The woman they'd been trying to throw off the flight owned the airline, and everyone had just watched it unfold live. The silence was suffocating. Baby Zoe gurgled happily, oblivious to the corporate earthquake she'd just helped trigger. Kesha, are you and Zoe safe? Marcus asked, his voice all authority. We're fine now, she said evenly, although Miss Mitchell did slap me in front of everyone when Zoe was crying. The words hit like lightning. Passengers who'd been recording suddenly realized they'd captured the assault of their CEO's wife. Phones trembled in guilty hands. Williams found his voice first. Shaky. Mr. Thompson. Sir, this has all been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Marcus's tone could have cut steel. Captain, I'm watching the live stream right now. 4,000 to 7,000 people just saw my wife assaulted by your crew. The TikTok counter surged. 47,000. The college student filming nearly dropped her phone as the comments went feral. Legendary. Flight attendant is done. Best plot twist ever. Mitchell pressed herself to the galley wall, her expression swinging from denial to panic. This can't be real. She's just a passenger with a crying baby. Miss Mitchell, Marcus interrupted, his voice low and deadly. You just referred to my wife as just a passenger after physically assaulting her. Please continue. I'm recording this for our legal department. In the back row, the aviation blogger's post exploded to 2,847 shares. He deleted his careful narrative and typed a blunt headline. Skylink Airways crew assaults CEO's wife. Live. Air Marshal Rodriguez slowly raised his hands, stepping back. Mrs. Thompson, we were responding to crew reports. We didn't know. Of course you didn't, Kesha said softly, adjusting Zoe's blanket. That's rather the point. How passengers are treated when you make assumptions. Williams tried to pivot. So, perhaps we could discuss this privately. Marcus's laugh was short and sharp. Captain, 47,000 people are watching live. Privacy is no longer an option. The elderly woman in pose, who had applauded Mitchell earlier, sank into her seat. Her smug remarks about entitled behavior were now immortalized online. Kesha reached into her bag and withdrew the platinum card she'd hidden earlier. Not just any executive pass, but a custom-engraved ownership credential. Mrs. Marcus Thompson, first family. She held it up for the cameras. Gasps swept the cabin. Some passengers covered their faces, realizing their own recorded insults would follow them online. "Honey," Kesha said into the phone, "should I mention the merger announcement?" "Not yet," Marcus replied, his tone calculating. "Let's see how they handle the next few minutes." Mitchell's voice cracked. "This is impossible. I've worked here 8 years. I'd know the CEO's family." "Would you?" Kesha asked quietly. "Have you ever seen a single photo of Marcus's wife or daughter? Has the company ever shared our personal information with crew?" No one answered. The truth was obvious. Executive family privacy was ironclad. Williams grabbed his radio, his hands trembling. "Ground control. Flight 847 requesting indefinite delay. We have a situation requiring corporate intervention." Confused Static answered. "Flight 847. We show a security removal in progress. Please clarify." Marcus's voice boomed from Kesha's phone. "This is Marcus Thompson, CEO of Skylink Airways. Cancel all security responses to Flight 847. I'm handling this personally." "Copy that, Mr. Thompson. All units standing down." The TikTok counter rolled past 52,000. News vans were already racing to the airport. #Skylink scandal climbed the national trends. Then Kesha switched to video call. On the screen, an entire boardroom of executives stared back at the cabin, watching the drama unfold live. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kesha announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the plane, "meet the Skylink Airways executive leadership team. They've been watching this.